Hey everyone, thank you again for joining us for another episode of the Liverpool Connection podcast. This is Pub Chat. We're back in the secondary garage bar over here at Jono's place. So cheers to you, Jono.
Cheers, Steve.
Yeah, and we got our beer for today is 512 Beer 30. So always a time for a beer, right? Beer
Definitely
30.
beer 30. It's been a long week, Steve.
You know, speaking of long week, it seems like it's been forever since we've had Premier League. I know it's just been a very short international break, but I missed the Man United game, so it seems like forever since I've been at the pub. But what the hell are these international breaks after 3 games?
I know it's so frustrating. I think it's more frustrating when you start the season as well as we did, and then you're just like, "Oh, I want to keep this going, man." And it's like just as soon as you're having fun, they take it away, those bastards.
You know, a couple of positives. I mean, we have some negatives. Obviously, we have to talk about the Elliott injury. It sucks for him because he hasn't really played that much, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. But we're about to start having these midweek games, and he was going to be part of the rotation. He is a game changer off the bench at more of a 10, I guess he would be this year, versus playing up on the right wing for Salah. But um, we're playing Forest on Saturday, 9 o'clock here, local kickoff for us. But um, we're 3-0, no goals conceded. Playing Forest, who are undefeated as well. 1 win and 2 draws. So they're coming to Anfield. We we should be able to take care of business, but still early in the season. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I must admit, I had no idea about Forest results and how they played until started doing a little research. Two ties and a win, but they haven't really played well. They haven't played anyone in the league really of anything top quality. But then they played Newcastle in the cup and essentially got a tie and went through on penalties. So yeah, they haven't lost. So there's different ways you can look at it. I feel like they tied 2 home games against Bournemouth, and I'm forgetting who the first team was. Wolves. When Wolves don't look that good, so you could look at those as opportunities they should be looking to try and win. Didn't lose them, and it sounds like they were winning those games, and then just gave up a couple of goals to tie them, and then beat Southampton, who probably are going to struggle this year, but they beat them. But it was a 1-0, and then Newcastle not losing. So it seems like they're keeping games tight, um, doing okay, and they've always given us a game. It's been, we were at the game at Anfield with Matthew and Josh and a couple others, and it was a wild game then. It was like 4-3 win, but I don't think it'll be like that this time. I think seems like neither team is going for the wild game this year. So I think it'll be a tight game. But I mean, at Anfield, we need to be beating them, and I think we will. But
Yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't conceded a goal yet, and having such a good form leading up to the international break, it's always interesting that all the players are coming back. They're traveling all around the world. Come back. Can you get to that rhythm again? And
right,
I wouldn't put it past the team to start off a little slow,
sure,
and then turn up in the second half. But the way Forrest always it seems to play, they have Chris Wood, they have Woni, or they're
yeah,
big guys up top. Ward Prowse is going to come into their midfield probably.
right.
You have Nico Williams probably be going up on their flank, and um, so on paper that they seem to have a pretty decent squad. They're ninth in the table right now, so I'm not going to say they're going to finish in ninth. Obviously, more like probably 15th, 16th.
Yeah.
Um, but you're mentioning, they bought 9 players again this
Yeah.
after like buying 30 players. do
Right.
the when they first got promoted. So I mean, they have quite a bit of turnover on their team, but they have a good manager.
He's a decent coach. I mean, I guess I think Wolves looked better when he was there. So I mean, I think he seems to be a decent coach, and he seems to, like I said, the games that we played him, they matched up pretty well. They've given us a hard time without ever. I don't know. I don't know what the results have been other than the 4-3 when we beat them, but they give us a tough game. But ultimately we have a better squad, we have a better team. Aside from the Elliott injury, as far as I know, everybody else came through unscathed. Trent had a really good international break finally for England. Should be brimming with confidence. And most other players came through okay. So uh, we have to be beating them. We have the quality, and we're at Anfield, so looking forward to it.
We I saw somewhere we had quite a few of our players who played 290s during the international
Yeah,
break. So that kind of concerns me. Having them go that hard on international duty for both games and not a lot of rotation. And speaking of rotation, we start getting these midweek games.
right.
We have Milan midweek, and so now we're really going to see how Arnie Slot is going to manage this team because it's kind of an easy ramp up for the first two games, and obviously we demolished Man United that last game. But now this will test how he manages the team, how he does the rotations, um, how the physio does his job. Is much acclaimed to come over and they're really working or looking at workloads for these players. And I think this will be the time that we're really going to see some of the tactical switches that he's been known for at Feyenoord and in previous clubs, and see how he implements it with us. We do like on a normally we have a backup to every position, but when we start playing midweek games, you need to have more than just a backup. You have to have a
No,
couple of extras too, right?
we're gonna have to rotate the starting lineup, and I always thought the first three games were going to be the same, pretty much the same 11, just so that you could instill the tactics and so on. But yeah, it's going to come thick and fast, and I really feel so bad for Elliot because I think finally, he would start getting some minutes in that Soboslai kind of position. So we're going to have to see somebody else fill in there for the next few games. It'll be interesting to see who that is, whether it's Maka moving forward or whether it's Chiesa coming in or Gakpo. Some people suggested. I could see lots of different
Mm-hmm.
options. The good thing is, I think Slot he sees people as able to fill different positions. Um, Hopefully Jones is fit. This is a time where we're going to need him. You can't play Gravenberg every game in there, no matter how well he's playing. You can't start him every game in that kind of a position. I think we're going to start seeing a lot of subs, and it would be really nice if we could get a couple of goals up on Forest so that it'd be interesting because it's the harder game you would well, I don't know. I would think the harder game on paper might be because we're away as well in Milan, but it's your first game back, and I really can't see starting a weaker team. Really, you want to get the guys that have played well back starting again. So I think we'll see a similar possible lineup against Forest to start with, and then a bit more rotation against Milan. But that's not an easy game in this Champions League format. We're going to have to pick up as many early points as we can to hopefully avoid getting extra games later.
I could see Endo being a starter in Milan just because I think that
That's a good call. Yeah,
the European game may be better suited for him playing in this system with Slot
hmm
because I think the Premier League the way Slot has Gravenberch, um, I'm not sure that he's comfortable with Endo playing like that. As you can see, he's hardly played these first three games. But I think against Milan, I think that would be a better opportunity. The pace isn't as fast. The physicality isn't. It's more of a technical kind of a game on the continent. So I can kind of see him there. Like you said, Jones coming back. He was in training this week, and some of the other guys that didn't leave. So Chiesa stayed and trained.
right,
Nunez stayed and trained. Having if he can come in and be firing too, when he's getting rotated in because he'll have to start playing more minutes. He has hardly played either, so
right.
he's going to have to start really playing. And I think those extra 2 weeks that he's been able to stay with Slot, I think that's going to translate onto the pitch, and being able to make a difference. But it's that double pivot, right? That's what slot has really changed as the structure of the team, and so that'll be the interesting part. Like you said, you can't play Gravenberch every single game. He's not going to be able to do that. So now, who drops back into there, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think you called it. I think Endo is going to come in, and fingers crossed, Jones is going to come in too. So in those positions, I'm not exactly sure who will line up with who. I don't know how an Endo Jones thing would work um, versus a Gramberg Maka, but those are the two that I would suspect will come in. Fingers crossed if they're all kind of fit to go. Um, you never know. Trey Leone might get a few minutes here and there, but we're going to need a lot of rotation in there. I have less worries about up front. I think maybe Chiesa playing against Milan, he might be fired up for that. That could be a
yeah,
good
that
one.
yeah, the
you know?
good call on that. I'm sure he'd be fired up to go to the San Siro and score.
Right. But the front rotation, I mean, would you be concerned at all if Gakpo started over Diaz? As for as awesome as Diaz has started in the first three games, you feel like Gakpo. I mean, he's still doing great for Holland. You feel like he's at a really high level. So if he came in for either game, I'd be comfortable with that. And then you've got Nunez and Jota. Nunez hasn't played many minutes yet. Which game he's better suited to get more minutes in? Hopefully he gets. I would think he'll start with Jota just for consistency. But if as soon as you can bring Nunez, feel comfortable to bring Nunez in against Forest and start getting him in the rhythm of playing with that team, the better. Whether it's so that you can then start Jota in Milan or start Nunez. I mean, either way, feel good. I feel so comfortable with that front three. Um,
So a question, because obviously last year Klopp rotated 10, 9, 10, 11 players every midweek game, right? Do you think Kelleher gets the call for the Champions League games, or is he going to just let Allison play?
that's a good call. I think hmm, it's tough because I feel like there you with the Champions League format as it was, you really had some games that you could just and there might be a couple, there might end up being a couple of this format, but I think you're going to have to really go for these early games. um I just think away at Milan in this first game, I can't see it, but it depends what Kelleher has been promised. It's a weird situation with the goalie thing right now. I mean, Kelleher's made some pretty strong comments during this international break about asking to leave essentially, and then we sign another relatively experienced keeper. Seems like that's the writing on the wall for him in terms of next year. You would think the idea would be to sell him. So what does that do to his mentality for this coming in this season? I mean, he's never let us down. He's done really well every time he's come in.
Well, I mean, he can't go anywhere right now, so
And
I
he's
mean,
not going anywhere. So I guess he still is going to want to prove himself when he comes in. But that kind of thing can knock a player a little bit. So, but he's getting called up for Ireland, which was good. So, there was always a bit of a worry for him in the past. I think one of the main reasons he wanted to go somewhere was his coach at Ireland was saying, you need to be playing regularly. Well, he played a lot of games last season, and so he's still getting called up for Ireland. And yeah, could I see him starting against Milan? I could see it, but I have no clue how Klopp feels about that so far.
not Klopp.
Sorry, that's gonna happen. That's gonna keep happening for a while. Um, yeah, there's a lot with Schlott that we don't know yet. So far, he's gone with experienced guys, right? And he's sent a lot of guys, young kids, out on loan or sold. Um, I don't think that means that he won't play youngsters. I just think that means he sees a loan option is really useful for him. But for somebody like Kelleher, who's not really a kid anymore, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I would feel more comfortable if Allison starts that Milan game though.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all would, but yeah, you just have to. I mean, can you go? I mean, obviously Allison could play every game if you wanted to, but then if Kelleher ever is needed to come in and he had to just come off the bench, but I guess that's the the way backup keepers are, right?
I mean,
You may never play, but you just have to be ready.
we have the League Cup game is West Ham, which is I think is that a week after the Milan game, midweek. So he'll definitely get that, but you want to give him, I would think, more than just the League Cup and early FA Cup rounds. So yeah, I don't know, honestly.
One of the good things about everybody coming back from international break is that during international games, man, we seems like our guys were scoring left and right, and like every time I pick up, look at a headline, there's another Liverpool person scoring a goal, and we really did well. But outside of Elliott getting hurt, I think, like you said, they got some form, and if we can just if we bring that back, these are traditionally under the Klopp era, were traditionally these harder games coming right back from an international break.
They are. You're bringing back memories of Daniel Sturridge and Alex Oxley Chamberlain, and God, every international break was a nightmare. Yeah, guys like Diaz, obviously Nunes can't play for Uruguay, so hopefully that's been good for him training uh, during this break and you know getting into the system because obviously he came back late and one of the latest into the squad, and yeah, he didn't get many minutes, but I don't think that's a sign that he's not going to play in the slot. I think he just needed time to get used to the system. So
I'm one of the things I'm really looking forward. I know it. We only bought him for 10 million. I'm looking to see Chiesa play. You know what I mean? Because we've seen him before in an Italy shirt, and he was a quality player. And I know he's coming back from a serious knee injury, but Van Dijk's come back from his serious knee injury as well, and he's a lot younger than Van Dijk. So um, I'm looking forward to see. You know what I mean, man? I just like the tactical stuff too, and just seeing how Slot will integrate the new player and see what kind of style he's going to play. He might play the 10, um,
yeah, it's possible.
and he's done that before, so it'll be interesting. But um, we have such a these are the games we need to get points because once October hits and we
Yeah.
start with Chelsea, we have a gauntlet of games, man, that are on paper like very intense.
I've been avoiding looking at the fixture list ahead of time because I'm just like I just want to enjoy them as they come. But I know it's coming every 3 or 4 days, um, and they'll be tougher. And we've got a pretty reasonable opposition list, even though they're regular for the next like month or to 6 weeks or so. So hopefully that means Elliot can get back. I think we'll see some surprises here and there, but yeah, Chiesa. Um, the pressure seems like it's kind of off him a little, right? It'll be interesting to see how Salah handles, if he's not starting a game here and there, and or if it's just bringing him off early, and things like that. But like you said, he might need to be used in more of a attacking mid position.
And you're right, but you kind of segue into just the contract stuff, right? With Salah and
Why'd you have to
Trent.
bring that up,
No, but
Steve?
just because they've mentioned during this break that they want to sign. Even
Right.
Van Dyke has come out. I want to sign. So if you want to sign, then that means to me that you're bought into slots, his vision, right? Because people are like, why didn't we sign him over the summer? Well, you have to wait till the gaffer's here. You have to train under him. You got to see his system, see if you're going to fit in it, see if you get along with him, and then you make your decision. Like, yes, I want to stay here. You can't just say, I'm pissed off or I will stay without knowing that there's a vision of your role and what the team is going to do, right? So, but all three of them now have come out publicly and saying, we want to stay here. So now it's back in the FSG and from reports saying that they are starting talks and looking at stuff. I think that all three of them are going to resign. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, everybody wants to paint it as either the club want to sign him or the player wants to leave or whatever it is. But it all comes on both sides comes down to more than just that because there's always a number involved. And for both sides, there's always a number where I would think where they maybe in the odd case there's a number where the players no matter what they're going to sign. But honestly, these days I think it's like for both sides there's a number where or a length of contract
Mm.
or a salary where they would sign, and there's one where they wouldn't. And then that's true for the club as well. So it's definitely more complicated than that. And so everybody that always says, just sign him, give him whatever he wants, that
Well, you
that
can't do that.
right? There's never makes sense. And also from the player's perspective, it's the same the other way. Now, I think the players, it's a gamble for the club to let him go this late because if things didn't work out in the first three games, you might be saying, okay, the players might be thinking maybe I need, especially the ones at the end toward Van Dijk, Salah might be thinking, hey, I need to win something in the next 2 years, and if it looks like it's going to take longer, that's a bit of a gamble in the club. Looks like that gamble might be slightly swayed towards them thinking, hey, we can win something in the next year or two, and so that might have worked out for them. Who knows? I mean, I try to remain just like hopeful that both sides kind of you know I do think Salah. I've thought this for 18 months or so that he wants to stay. He wants to be at Liverpool. Now, how much does he want? Does he want to? Is he willing to sign a contract for only 2 years at the salary he's currently on, which is what I imagine Liverpool might think is a good deal. Maybe thinks that he deserves to be on more than what he's currently on and won a 3 year contract. In which case, the club might be going, I don't know, that's a little much for us. So somewhere in the middle, I think Salah looks like he's. I mean, it's hard to argue with his numbers, man. He's still always our top scorer, and he looks like he's still going to be. So even though he's not beating his man and scoring in the top corner like from outside the penalty box like he did against Chelsea, he's still producing, and it's very hard to replace that. And at some point, somebody will. But while you have a guy already signed, man, I really hope that happens. And then you could say the same arguments, right? I mean, Trent looks like for England their best player. He's creating like crazy, and then Virgil seems like he's super happy. Everything he said, it looks like he wants to be here. So yeah, sign them all.
You have to sign them all. I mean,
I mean, it's easy to say that, and
yeah,
but that's our job as fans, honestly.
sure.
We should see it a little bit from both sides, but ultimately, it's okay for us fans to be like, yeah, sign him. Come
Well, I
on.
mean, I think the main thing will be like Salah has to set a number, right? And then well, Trent is going to have to be okay not making as much as Salah, knowing
Right?
that you still have probably two more big contracts in your career. Where Salah, this is probably will be his last big contract, right? Van Dijk's probably this will be his last big contract as well. I mean, big contract meaning not
At that same level. Yeah.
not going to Saudi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Sure,
Because you
sure,
can get
sure.
the big money there, but I don't think any of them really want to do that. So so you have to just say because Salah's the highest wage earner at
Right.
Liverpool. So you have to be okay with that still being the case because he's going to be the highest earner again,
And he should be.
right? So so Trent, you go, hey, I want, and then I saw something about 5 years. I can't see Trent signing a 5 year contract. I can't see any player doing that, but he
No.
might. He might. It's, um, but let's sign them all. You know, we we have academy, and obviously you can get somebody like Kaiser for 10 million, then you have you have room to spend some money somewhere else. But anyway, so prediction time, Jono. Liverpool v Nottingham Forest.
You know what? I've fallen in love with 2-0 under Schlupp. I want every game to be 2-0 till the end of the season. It's the perfect score. Yeah, it makes you a little nervy that if they get one towards the end of the game, they might get one. But I honestly feel like this season, if we're winning 2-0 and a team gets 1-0, gets a goal and it's 2-1, yes, we'll all freak out a little bit. But I honestly think it would be awesome just that even if we just finish 2-1 and they don't get another shot for the rest of the game, just be good to see us cope with adversity. I guess I'm arguing for a 2-1. No, I'm not. 2-0
2
is
nil.
a prediction.
Yeah, I was thinking 2 nil initially, but I was like, I can't. 4 shutouts to start the season. I can't see it,
Yeah.
so I'm going to say 2-1. We are going to win though at home.
Forest have scored one goal in every game, right? I think so. It kind of feels inevitable, but what I've learned about football from watching it a lot of years is as soon as you think this is going to happen, something totally different happens. So, all
Should we,
right, I'll stick with
should we reference the fact that we lost to a 9-man team this last Sunday?
No, we should not bring
Okay,
that up.
so that remember
I'm
it.
still, I'm
Yeah,
still pissed about that, Steve.
yeah, you don't always need 11 men to win a game
Yeah.
for some reason. But anyway, so okay, I'm going 2-1. You're going
Okay,
2-0, right?
sounds good.
All right. So
I'm fine with either of those.
hey, just get another victory, right? 3 points, and then we'll take it, and then we go into Milan, and then the fun
And then
stuff.
the Chiesa game starts.
The Chiesa phase of the team starts.
Chiesa. Whoa. What was that song? I've forgotten
I
it
don't know.
already.
Anyway, hey, thanks for joining us, guys. Please like, subscribe, put on your notifications, and we will do a post match pod. Probably John and I, and we'll grab some of our other drunk friends at the pub. So until then, cheers. See you later.